At Sydney Football Stadium, it's Derby Day.
Oh, it almost opened up on the left. Quintal still deflected twice.
There's plenty at stake for Sydney FC and the Western Sydney Wanderers in this A-League clash. But it's not just the fans in the stands following this game.
With a precious 2-goal cushion 10 minutes into the second half.
There are people around the country taking a punt on the match via online betting apps. This is called live or in-play betting.
Instead of having one bet over the whole game, you can place literally hundreds of different bets, one after the other.
Lauren Levine from Gambling Policy Hub warns this style of gambling encourages impulsive behaviour.
If someone is betting for a longer period of time, they've got not only more chance to lose money, but more chance for the betting to take over their lives.
For this reason, strict laws regulate in-play gambling on sporting fixtures. Before a game, you can place a bet online, at a TAB, or even with a bookie. Once the game starts, these laws demand that all bets must be placed exclusively over the phone. Online gambling companies have found a way to fast-track this process. You begin placing the bet online, which generates a code. You then call up the bookmaker,
Hi, can I get your full name and fast code?
say your name and quote your code, Myles, Houlbrook-Walk, Alpha Lima Bravo. You confirm your bet, yep. And just like that, you're on. But now there's a key question. Are these bets using fast codes even legal?
Now, our argument is that the Consumer Protection Regime, the Interactive Gambling Act, says that's not lawful because in-play bets have to be made wholly by telephone.
Maurice Blackburn has launched 2 class actions, one against Australia's largest online bookmaker, Sportsbet, and another against Entain Group, which owns bookmakers Neds and Ladbrokes. Both allege that this method of live betting using fast codes is illegal.
Now, because the Interactive Gambling Act says that in-play bets have to be made entirely over the phone, if they're not, that is an illegal contract and it can be set aside. And that means that if you've lost money, those losses can be recovered from Sportsbet.
How much money do you think you would have lost all up gambling on sports betting and Neds and...
With sport alone, probably about 30,000.
And that's just on live events, you reckon?
That's just on live.
Travis Morgan is still counting his losses from online gambling, including from in-play bets.
With sports, I'd bet on bloody anything. I'd bet on Russian table tennis when I knew nothing about it. I'd bet on anything that's coming up, soccer, football, baseball, basketball, whatever. Whatever's coming up, I'd bet on.
The 52-year-old father of 7 says his addiction even interrupted watching rugby league in the stands, regularly placing bets during games at Parramatta Stadium.
I'm frustrated with myself. I hate myself for what I've done. I took food, I took everything out of my kids' meals just to chase a thrill.
In Australia, we're approaching now around $30 billion a year lost to gambling. We estimate that in-play betting is a small subsection of that, but even a small percentage of such a large figure involves a lot of money.
The law firm estimates the case against Sportsbet could see a massive number of participants.
I imagine there are hundreds of thousands of people that will be covered by this class action.
Mark Kempster is another potential claimant.
It's much harder to try and control yourself when you're watching something and you have the adrenaline of a live game in front of you or a live event in front of you to bet on. It definitely exacerbates the want to gamble.
Mark Kempster now supports others battling gambling addictions.
But I definitely know of people and people I've worked with now who have gone down crazy rabbit holes to bet on things on the other side of the world in the middle of the night that they have absolutely no idea.
Entain and Sportsbet told 7:30 in separate statements they operate in a highly regulated market and are committed to meeting legal and regulatory obligations.
Sportsbet, proud supporters of having a crack.
Meanwhile, Sportsbet has already filed a counterclaim against the class action, arguing that if fast codes are deemed illegal, then people who placed winning bets using them should also return their money to the bookmaker.
The plaintiff is obliged to make restitution and repay those payments to Sportsbet.
For Sportsbet to claim that when they have created a product and it's in breach of consumer protection regimes, to then say that they should have the benefit of also setting aside those contracts, I think there'll be difficulties with the judge accepting that.
The claim against Sportsbet is scheduled to appear at the Victorian Supreme Court in August. A trial date has not been set for the action against Entain. Lauren Levine wants a national regulator established to oversee an industry she argues is one step ahead of the federal government.
The online gambling industry in Australia is really dynamic, and if live bets disappear, there'll be something else.
Down the field, Stoll to the red